The reason I'm being quiet in this episode, my motherfucking family is sleeping. It's 2:30 in the morning, but a motherfucker gotta work. In case nobody told you today, fuck ICE. Cocksucking pieces of shit. In case you couldn't tell, I don't fucking like them. They're strong-arm pussies. They're thugs. They're paid goons. Paid too much, by the way. Need to pay our teachers more. And I just want to point out one thing. It's really fucked up. It's safer to send your kids to a war zone than it is to send them to school in the United States. Looks like we're going to go to online learning permanently. Just get rid of this whole social interaction bullshit. Maybe that's safer for our children. I mean, me and my wife just had a baby last Wednesday. She did all the work. I didn't do shit. We got 4 kids now. The chance that one of them's going to be involved or know someone involved, it's pretty high. It's fucked up. It's terrifying. But enough of my problems. Let's get back to the show. You hear it before you see it. Not battle. Not swords. Not screaming. The kind of silence that only exists when a city has run out of food. A child coughing in the night. A priest repeating prayers no one believes anymore. Athens, the city that taught the world democracy, doesn't fall in a blaze of glory. It starves. But to understand how a civilization dies slowly like this, we have to go back. Back to the moment Greece stopped being free. Back to the moment kings replaced citizens. Back to the world that created the Cremonidean War. Oh shit. What the fuck? This goddamn fucking time machine keeps fucking up, man. We gotta get the fuck out of here, dude. Jesus. Did you hear that shit? Did you fucking see that shit? Those motherfuckers were getting annihilated. These motherfuckers were built different back around this time. Holy shit. Motherfuckers complain about going to work back in my time. That's wild. These motherfuckers had a shitty job. Holy fuck. We gotta get to this story so we can get the fuck out of here. This place is treacherous. When Alexander the Great died in 323 BCE, the ancient world did not mourn peacefully. It fucking tore itself apart. Alexander left no clear heir. Only generals. Men who had marched across Asia, seen unimaginable wealth, and commanded armies that had never known defeat. They did what powerful men always do. They divided the world. The wars that followed were not small conflicts. They were global struggles, stretching from Greece to India. Cities burned, armies annihilated, thousands dead, alliances betrayed. And from that chaos emerged 3 great powers. Macedonia, controlling Greece, the Seleucid Empire, stretching across Asia, and Ptolemaic Egypt, rich beyond imagination. The old Greek world, the world of independent city-states, was finished. Or at least, it should have been. Because memory is dangerous. And Greece had too much of it. For centuries, Greek identity centered on the polis, the city-state. Athens, Sparta, Corinth, Thebes. These were not just cities. They were political universes. Cities governed themselves. They voted. They fought for their own laws. They believed freedom meant participation. But empires don't tolerate local freedom. Empires demand stability, predictability, taxes, soldiers. So the successors of Alexander allowed the city-states to exist, but only as long as they obeyed. Democracy survived, but only in name. But Macedonian garrisons watched from the hills, and everyone knew who really held the power. The most important man in Greece at this time was Antigonus II Gonatas. He ruled through systems. He understood something previous conquerors did not. You don't need to destroy a city to control it. You just have to control its food, its trade, its ports, its roads, and the city will bend the knee. Athens still spoke of freedom, but Antigonus controlled Piraeus, its harbor. That meant no grain imports without permission, no naval power, no independence. Athens was alive, but it was on fucking life support. Imagine Athens in the 270s BCE. The Parthenon still stood. Philosophers still debated. Students still learned rhetoric and logic. But politically, it was a fucking museum. A monument to a past age. Older citizens remembered when Athens had led the Greek world, when its navy dominated the sea, when its democracy shaped history. Now they watched Macedonian soldiers guard their harbor. Humiliation creates resistance, and resistance creates movements. Meanwhile, in the Peloponnese, another ghost was stirring. Sparta, once the most feared military society in Greece, now weakened by centuries of decline. Its population had collapsed. Its citizen class had shrunk. Its power faded. But one man believed Sparta could rise again. King Arius I. He rejected Sparta's old isolation. He minted coins with his own face, something ancient Spartan kings never did. He acted like a Hellenistic monarch. He wanted power, glory, relevance. And he saw opportunity in Athens' resentment. Far to the south, another king watched events carefully. Ptolemy II Philadelphus, ruler of Egypt, master of the richest kingdom in the Mediterranean. Egypt didn't need Greece, but it feared Macedon. If Antigonus grew stronger, Egyptian trade routes could suffer. Balance of power mattered at this time, so Ptolemy chose a strategy still used today: proxy war. He would support Greek resistance, provide ships, provide money, let others bleed for his fight. In Athens, a politician stepped forward, Cremonides. We know little about his life, but we know his impact. He proposed a decree that changed history. A declaration calling all Greeks to unite against Macedonian domination. It invoked the Persian Wars. It invoked Greek freedom. It invoked destiny. It was emotional. It was powerful. And it was unrealistic. But it worked. Athens voted for war. The alliance formed quickly. Athens had the ideology. Sparta had the soldiers. Egypt had the money and ships. It looked good on paper. In reality, it was fragile as fuck. Different goals, different motivations, different levels of commitment. but momentum carried them forward. And in 267 BCE, war began. Antigonus, he doesn't negotiate. He fucking marched. Macedonian armies moved into Attica. They seized roads, burned crops, cut communications. Athens suddenly realized something terrifying. This wasn't going to be a heroic war. It was going to be on their doorstep, and it would be a slow death. So Antigonus chooses the most efficient strategy: starve the symbol. Instead of storming Athens' walls, a costly gamble, he wages war against the countryside. Macedonian detachments spread across Attica. Grain fields that once fed thousands become blackened earth. Villagers outside Athens are abandoned. Every refugee means more mouths to feed. The siege has begun, and the walls haven't even been touched. Inside Athens, panic mixes with defiance. The assembly meets daily. Citizens vote on shit. Stockpiles are counted, weapons distributed, walls inspected. Athens still remembers the Peloponnesian War. It has survived sieges before, but this time is different. Athens no longer commands an empire. No ships bringing grain. No vast navy controls the waves. It's a proud city, but an isolated one. Still, somehow, hope exists. Sparta is marching. Egypt is sending ships. The alliance will save them. At least, that's what they think. From the Peloponnese comes the force Athens trusts the most: Sparta. He understands what this war means. If Athens falls, Macedonian power becomes permanent. If Macedon is checked, Sparta might regain some influence. But this is not the Sparta of Thermopylae. Its manpower is limited. Every loss is permanent. Yet the Spartan army marches anyway. To reach Athens, Spartan forces must cross one critical gateway: Corinth. And above Corinth rises one of the strongest fortresses in Greece, Acrocorinth, a towering defensive position controlling the narrow land bridge between southern and central Greece. Whoever controls Acrocorinth controls movement. Antigonus knows this. Macedonian troops reinforce the fortress, sealing the road. The war now hinges on a single geographic reality: can Sparta break through? Areus attacks. Spartan hoplites advance in formation, shields locked, spears angled forward. They push against Macedonian defensive lines, again and again. Ancient warfare here is brutal and intimate. Men fight at arm's length. Spears pierce armor, shields splinter. The wounded are trampled. Sparta briefly manages to slip forces through the blockade. A small contingent reaches Attica. Morale in Athens surges. The alliance appears to work, but success cannot be sustained. Spartan forces lack secure supply lines. They can't hold territory deep in enemy-controlled land, so they have to withdraw. And the war continues. The campaign reveals a harsh truth. Sparta can't fight a prolonged war from home. Its population is too small. Its logistics too fragile. Ancient Sparta built its strength on discipline and courage. But courage can't replace manpower. Areus understands this. Yet he refuses to abandon the cause. He prepares for another campaign. One that will decide everything. In 265 BCE, Sparta launches its largest effort. Areus gathers all available forces. The goal is simple: break Macedonian control of Corinth, reach Athens, force Antigonus into open battle. The armies meet near Corinth. The details of the battlefield are lost to history, but the result is not. The clash is violent. Spartan formations push forward with legendary discipline. Macedonian troops respond with flexibility and numbers. Missile troops harass Spartan lines. Fresh Macedonian reserves replace the wounded. Spartan losses mount. And then, Areus falls. The Spartan king is killed in combat. Leadership collapses. The Spartan army retreats. The death of King Areus puts Sparta out of the war. Without its king, without manpower to replace losses, Sparta returns home. The great military power of classical Greece exits the conflict. For Athens, the consequences are catastrophic. The strongest ally is gone. The balance of power shifts immediately. Athens now faces Macedonia alone. Antigonus senses victory. He tightens his blockade. More troops arrive in Attica. Supply routes vanish. Trade stops completely. Inside the city, rationing begins. Grain is carefully measured. Food prices soar, and fear spreads. Athens still resists. But time always favors the besieger. From the sea comes the alliance's final hope. Ships bearing the banner of Ptolemy II Philadelphus. Commanding them is Admiral Patroclus. The Egyptian fleet establishes bases along the Attic coast. Fortified positions appear at Cape Sunium and nearby islands. From these bases, grain and supplies are smuggled into Athens. The siege loosens slightly. Athens survives another season. But Egyptian support has limits. Ptolemy's objective is not victory. His objective is pressure. He wants Macedon distracted, not defeated. Patroclus lacks sufficient troops for a full invasion. He can only delay the inevitable. And Athens realizes this slowly. The alliance is not equal. Athens fights for survival. Egypt fights for strategy. Years pass. No decisive battle. No dramatic breakthrough. Instead, blockade, attrition, waiting. The Macedonian strategy proves devastating. Athens grows weaker each year. Refugees crowd the city. Resources shrink. Political unity begins to crack. Some citizens call for continued resistance. Others whisper of surrender. Ancient warfare is often remembered as heroic battles, but the reality is different. Wars are decided by food, supply, and endurance. Cities do not always fall to swords. They fall to hunger. And Athens is learning this lesson the hard way. The first phase of the war ends without resolution. Sparta is broken. Egypt hesitates. Macedon tightens control. Athens still stands. But the struggle is changing. This is no longer a war of armies. It is becoming a war of survival. And survival has limits. The war stops looking like a war. There's no great marches now. No massive battles. There's only containment. Athens is surrounded. Not by soldiers, but by a living system of control. Macedonian outposts dominate every approach to the city. Watchfires burn along the hills. Messengers are intercepted. Travel becomes impossible. Antigonus has transformed the landscape itself into a weapon. Athens is not being attacked. It's being isolated from reality. Trade disappears first. Merchants stop arriving. Markets empty. Prices climb beyond reason. Silver loses meaning when there's nothing left to buy. Families begin selling possessions, furniture, clothing, tools, eventually, homes. But wealth can't purchase survival. The city's economic system, once the engine of Athenian power, dissolves into desperation. Rationing becomes law. Officials measure grain reserves carefully. Bread becomes coarse, mixed with substitutes, ground seeds, roots, anything that can stretch the supply. Livestock are slaughtered early to conserve feed. Soon, there's no meat. Fishing can't sustain the population. Even olive oil becomes rare. Hunger stops being temporary. It becomes permanent. The countryside has already been emptied. Farmers, laborers, and villagers have taken shelter inside the walls. Athens swells beyond capacity. Water becomes scarce. Disease spreads easily. Sanitation fails. The city begins consuming itself simply by existing. The larger the population, the faster the collapse. Democracy weakens under pressure. The assembly still meets, but attendance falls. Citizens are too hungry to debate. And arguments soon grow violent. Some demand continued resistance. Others argue survival requires surrender. Accusations of treason multiply, and trust disappears. Political life, once Athens' defining strength, becomes a source of fucking division. Who'd have thought? Antigonus does not rush victory. He understands psychology. His forces stage visible patrols near the walls. They display captured supplies. They allow rumors of abundance to spread. Inside Athens, the contrast is devastating. The enemy appears calm. The city feels fucking doomed. Despair spreads faster than hunger. Off the Attic coast, the Egyptian fleet remains. Admiral Patroclus continues operations from fortified positions. The missions are dangerous. Many fail. Only a few succeed. And each shipment extends Athenian survival, but only for a few people. The fleet can't challenge Macedonian dominance on land. It can only delay collapse. As months pass, social norms erode. Food theft becomes common. Violence increases. Families hoard supplies in secret. Neighbors spy on neighbors. The shared identity of the polis, the foundation of Athenian life, fractures. Survival replaces citizenship. Temples remain active. Priests perform rituals for divine intervention, and sacrifices continue, though animals grow scarce. Some interpret the siege as punishment from the gods. Others lose faith entirely. Religious unity dissolves into anxiety and superstition. Athens was once the center of philosophy and learning. Schools remain open, but the attendance falls. Students leave to search for food. The city that shaped Western thought now struggles to feed itself. The contrast is tragic. Movement becomes restricted inside the city. Curfews are imposed. City gates remain closed, except under strict supervision. Athens, once a center of travel and exchange, becomes a sealed environment. There is nowhere to escape. Then, unexpectedly, the strategic situation changes. A new conflict erupts, far from Athens. Alexander of Epirus launches an invasion of Macedonians' northern territories. The attack threatens Antigonus' homeland. For the first time in years, the Macedonian king faces danger elsewhere. He makes a calculated decision. He withdraws. Macedonian forces abandon their positions. The blockade loosens. The pressure vanishes almost overnight. For Athens, the change is overwhelming. Citizens stream out the walls. Fields, long abandoned, are reclaimed. Farmers begin planting grain. Hope returns with astonishing speed. The city believes survival is possible. Families plan for the future. The trauma of siege seems to fade, but recovery requires time. And time is the one resource Athens doesn't have. The survival of Athens depends entirely on events beyond its control. The conflict in the north concludes quickly. Alexander of Epirus is defeated. Macedonian stability is restored. Antigonus turns south again. Macedonian forces re-enter Attica with precision. This time they move faster. They target agriculture immediately. Fields nearing harvest are seized. Supply routes are destroyed again. The brief recovery ends violently. The psychological impact is devastating. The second siege breaks what resistance remains. Athens no longer debates victory. It debates survival. The defenders assigned to the walls are no longer soldiers in any meaningful sense. They are starving civilians, holding weapons they barely have the strength to lift. Continue fighting and risk annihilation, or surrender and preserve the city. The assembly meets in reduced numbers. Arguments are no longer philosophical. They're practical. How many days of food remain? How many defenders still stand? How many children have already died? The language of democracy changes under starvation. Liberty becomes a question of arithmetic, and the answer is clear. Envoys leave the city under guarded escort. They approach the Macedonian command. Antigonus II Gonatas receives them calmly. He has already won. He doesn't need to demand destruction. He doesn't need to seek spectacle. His objective has always been control. The terms are simple. Athens will surrender. Macedonian authority will be accepted. A garrison will be installed. Political independence will end. The city will live, but it will never be free. The envoys return. The decision is made. Athens surrenders in 261 BCE. The gates open. There's no final battle. No dramatic confrontation. Macedonian troops enter in disciplined formation. They occupy strategic positions. The harbor at Piraeus remains under permanent control. Military posts are established across the city. Democracy survives in appearance, but authority now comes from Macedon. Its autonomy no longer exists. The war architects face its consequences. Cremonides flees into exile in Egypt. His vision of Greek freedom ends far from the city he tried to save. The historian Philochorus, supporter of resistance, is executed. Others disappear quietly from public life. Political memory is erased. Resistance is not celebrated. It is silenced. Around this time, the philosopher Zeno dies in Athens. He had taught self-control, endurance, acceptance of fate. His death felt symbolic. A chapter of Greek history closes. Sparta never returns to the conflict. Its manpower losses cannot be replaced. Its ambitions collapse with King Arius. The legendary warrior state fades into isolation. The age when Sparta shaped Greek destiny is finished. Egypt abandons its intervention. Ptolemy II gained distraction for his rival, but no lasting victory. The cost outweighed the benefit. Greek affairs return to Macedonian influence. The proxy war ends. Antigonus consolidates power across Greece. Macedonian dominance appears secure. But the conflict changes something fundamental. Greek cities learn a harsh lesson. No single polis can challenge a kingdom alone. Survival requires unity. In the decades following the war, new political structures emerge. Multiple cities combine resources, armies, and governance. Power becomes collective rather than individual. Greece adapts to a new world. The classical system never returns. A new political era begins. Athens and Sparta did not win. Their alliance failed. Their freedom was lost. Their power never fully returned. But the significance of the Cremonidean War lies beyond victory. It marks the final moment when the great city-states of classical Greece attempted to reclaim their independence. It is the last stand of the old political world, the world of citizen rule. After this war, Greece would be shaped by kingdoms, federations, and eventually, empires beyond its borders. The classical age didn't end in a single battle. It ended slowly, through hunger, through exhaustion, through the acceptance of new realities. Athens survived. Its philosophy endured. Its influence endured. But its freedom, the freedom that once defined it, passed into history. And with that loss, a different world began. That's it for this one, y'all. Take care. Stay safe. Fuck ice. Rest in peace to Dwayne Johnson.